Hi there, this is Haley Hogan, and I'm here with one of our Selecting the Best ECBs and TRMs for your project speakers, Jerry Fifield. Fresh off of his masterclass series, talking about his upcoming session, which dives into the world of ECBs and TRMs. So Jerry, why should our audience sign up?
Well, the whole intent of this particular module is to get into and delve into the BMPs that can be used for erosion control that are manufactured, namely the erosion control blankets and turf reinforcement mats. We spent a lot of time going over and bringing in criteria that's been set up by ECTC, which is the Erosion Control Technology Council, and showing how that applies and the standards they apply for allowing designers and reviewers to select the proper product, be it for a hillside or be it for a drainage channel. And each one of those require an understanding of the product, what it does, what it doesn't do, and what are the limitations of the products and where you use them. So we go into a lot of detail to try to explain all of that, including bringing up concepts of shear stress, flow velocities, and so forth for channels, and then also to demonstrate that on hillsides, some of the mitigation measures that might be in place may not be necessarily that beneficial to use because the products themselves may not actually meet up any certain specifications or may be actually an overkill when you apply it on a hillside or even in a drainage channel. So basically we get in there and really do a good technical analysis of what we're talking about when we select an erosion control blanket or a turf reinforcement mat.
Great! So we'll be getting into the details of what we should be using and when. Speaking of selecting the right ECBs and TRMs, what's the driving factor of why it's important what you pick?
Well, I think you could boil that down to one word: money. If you choose a product that's very robust and something that costs a significant amount of money, that's going to be a lot of cost on a construction site that maybe you may not need. So you're trying to come up with a product that indeed is going to be cost effective, easy to install, and will be there and for the long term to enhance the vegetation establishment, as well as protect the hillside against erosion and the channel against erosion. So money, or maybe a better word would be cost, is the biggest reason I can see why you'd want to learn this material.
True. Cost is always a major factor to consider. What are the biggest mistakes or pitfalls you've seen in the field?
Installation of the products is probably the biggest pitfall that I've seen, where we will see occasionally contractors will put in on a hillside a drainage, erosion control blankets and not use sufficient number of staples, or they place a blanket over the top of some vegetation, namely some weeds that are already growing in there, and as a result you end up getting the product being pushed away from the surface of the ground, and before long you get erosion and you get failure occurring on here. That pushing away is what we call tenting. Then the other one lies with installing a turf reinforcement mat, where not enough staples again are installed right down the flow line of the channel, which has the greatest amount of shear stress on it, as well as not incorporating check structures or staple check structures of some type to help control the water and making sure that the flows themselves don't undermine the product and indeed flow on top of it as much as possible. So installation is probably the biggest pitfall that I've seen out in the field. The other pitfall, though, comes with designers not going through and evaluating the products that they're specifying for their particular jobs. Likewise, right along with that is reviewers not making sure that they double check everything to see if they got the right product being specified for the hillside or for the drainage channels. So it all boils down to accountability by the contractor, accountability by the designer, and accountability by the reviewers of the plans.
Definitely. So what should factor into selecting the best products for your site?
Once again, it depends on your location. Are you dealing with steep hillsides? If you're dealing with steep hillsides, there are various products that ECTC highly recommends that you use. And the reason that they have a selection on there is that steep hillsides means that there can be more chance for failure. So you want a product, for example, that's very well constructed and installed in a correct manner. Take our drainage channels, though. There you want a product that indeed is going to be able to withstand the flow of water down the channels while assisting the establishment of vegetation. And that's the whole purpose of a turf reinforcement mat. It's a soft armoring, and you want to get that vegetation to get established within the product itself. So you have to select one that will be there long enough for the anticipated flows that you're going to be getting in that drainage channels, so that it can in turn become well established and protect the channel against erosion down the road.
Thanks. And just to wrap it up, what will our attendees take away from this session?
My opinion, I think they'll be taking away a good understanding of the products, the different types of products that can be used, and probably most importantly, when you should be using certain products for, say, a hillside stabilization or a channel stabilization. It gets into the nitty-gritty and provides as much information, we hope anyway, that will be able to provide support for you if indeed you have to be accountable, say a court case or whatever the situation may come up. So you can back up what you've decided to put into a drainage channel or on the hillside.
So it all depends on what your scenario is and what's best for the site. Thanks. Well, that's all we have time for today. You can sign up for this Selecting the Best ECBs and TRMs for your project webinar at foresteruniversity.net, as well as Jerry and Tina's other erosion control webcasts in our library of 175 courses, or check out Jerry and Tina's other clips at our Forester University YouTube channel.